days after the then Home Minister Shivraj Patil speculated that terrorists from across the border might choose water routes to launch an attack on civilians. The nefarious attack on India's financial capital made the government take several hasty decisions and pointed fingers at intelligence failure. In fact,
a country that is used to bomb blasts and terror strikes. 3-day-long terror attack in Mumbai on the 26th November 2008 was an eye-opener. 10 terrorists with guns could bring the financial hub of the country to a stunning halt. Just 4 days prior to the attack, the then Home Minister Shivraj Patil had spoken about the possibility of terror group using the sea route. Patil had said, "To control terrorism in the hinterland, we have to see the infiltration of these terrorists from other countries does not take place through the sea routes and through the borders between India and friendly countries. The coastlines also have to be guarded through Navy, Coast Guard and Coastal Police." The vulnerability of India's sea route had become clear when India witnessed first serial blast in 1993 in Mumbai. The explosives used in the attack were ferried through the sea. 26/11 led to debates and discussions on India's ability to handle a terror attack that can last long. Despite intelligence reports, clamour for creating an efficient mechanism to handle such situations grew louder. Responding to the situation, the central government cleared 2 proposals. NSG teams took time to reach Mumbai. The operation could have ended much earlier had the NSG team been available near Mumbai. The UPA government had created a National Investigative Agency to deal with the terror-related cases to finish cases swiftly. The gaps in India's national security setup was exposed, where both Delhi and Mumbai were unable to deal with such an attack. The Indian Navy, the Coast Guards and the Mumbai Police all failed to detect 10 terrorists sneaking into Mumbai. Significant admission was to acknowledge the need to enhance maritime domain awareness in the Indian Ocean. A chain of coastal radars were installed to pick up any unusual activity around India's coastal region. If we have a look at this illustration, there was 46 radars which have been installed, 38 more in the pipeline. 1,500 landing points on the coastline were identified. Division of responsibility was set up between the Navy, the CG and the local police. Fishing crafts too were installed with automatic identification transponders. Well, the movement in the sea route is monitored closely now. Even though the complexity associated with the coastal security remain, Indian Navy and Coast Guard prepared new guidelines to make steady improvement in the capabilities. 24/7 surveillance is still not happening. A bill on India's maritime security is still being discussed. While the foolproof mechanism will keep evolving the changing realities, the response from political class in prioritizing maritime security is still far from satisfactory.
You know, the reason why I said that this part of the presentation is most important is that we will be defined by the sort of actions we take and the words or utterances we choose to speak about. What I feel is that on the 10th anniversary, we have had certain utterances, we have had certain statements that take us back. It clearly shows, Saurabh, that our priorities are not right. Absolutely. Look at the statement by, someone sitting in a constitutional position like a governor.
A governor.
Look at the statements that have been made in the political spectrum. I feel that this is the sort of statements that will take us back, not ahead. And that needs to be avoided. So while we talk about getting the perpetrators to justice, let me quickly introduce Colonel Hariharan is with us, Noel Saranjit Sen is with us, Raman Malik continues to be with us, and we also have former Chief Security Advisor for the UN, or to the UN, Mr. K.C. Reddy. Let me come back to you, Mr. Saranjit Sen, while we'll get in Mr. Raman Malik also to speak on this issue. But, okay, Raman Malik, let me ask you this question. Do you think that statements and utterances of the kind that 26/11 took place during the Congress regime, the fact that only Hindus were killed and Muslims were not killed, do you think that this belittles the very fact that this is being spoken is taking away from the significance and importance of something like a 26/11? At a time when we are supposed to speak on maritime security, about partnership, in intelligence. We are talking about this. Raman Malik.
See, couple of things let me put forward. When you are here talking about whether these statements are good or bad, right at the turn of events, right after that, there was a book launch by certain people, and the political class at that time and the so-called liberal intellectuals led by none other than Mahesh Bhatt and Digvijay Singh said that there was no rule of Pakistan. There was nothing to do about it. It was an attack which was created. All those kind of things. Now, further, if we go back a little, Rahul Gandhi, according to some cables, said, and very clearly, that it was not the Lashkar-e-Toiba or Jamaat-e-Islami or whatever, all these terrorist organizations, it was the Saffron terror that one should be scared of. And then it was pointed that RSS killed certain officers. Now, I want to understand, when we are talking and when the background of this incident...
No, you tell me one thing, Mr. Raman Malik, those statements are wrong.
That is one.
But then the statements that 26/11 happened during the Congress regime, what has the regime got to do? It was a terror attack. We need a concerted strategy to fight this.
It is a fact.
You know, references that this, of course it is a fact. Of course it is a fact. But it is also a fact that our maritime security is weak. It is also a fact that a lot needs to be achieved in terms of intelligence. I don't see any political discourse around this. And that is what my problem is. And then you have got a governor, my goodness, a governor who will tweet, who will basically say that Muslims were not killed, only Hindus were.
I would ask you a simple question today. God forbid, and I pray to God it does not happen, and our security agencies, the way they are working now, they happen to work like this forever. Has there been any such incident which has happened here in this regime? No, it has not. Wherever it has happened, we have taken full Congress.
Mr. Malik,
what do you say?
Mr. Malik,
Selective amnesia.
Mr. Malik,
you have forgotten Pathankot.
You have forgotten Uri, you have forgotten Pathankot, you have forgotten, clearly everything is forgotten.
Come on, let us not...
Now, Mr. Malik, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that when the nation... Just a moment, Mr. Malik, on a day when the nation pays tribute to the heroes, to the innocents, who paid with their lives, Mr. Malik, it is unfortunate that it's ultimately politicking. It is politicking which is becoming the talking point, and that's clearly not what India's agenda is.
I would ask you,
we as a channel, we look forward. We look forward to how everyone can come together. Mr. Malik, two wrongs. If you're drawing, Mr. Malik, sorry, if you're drawing a reference to what Rahul Gandhi had said, two wrongs. If you think that was wrong, two wrongs do not make a right, Mr. Malik. Let's be very clear on that. If what he said is wrong, what you are trying to advocate now is equally wrong. Sorry, let me bring in Mr. K.C. Reddy. Mr. K.C. Reddy. On one hand, Mr. Reddy, when we talk of the way forward, a lot depends on our politicians. The policy makers, unfortunately, they are the people who are elected by us. But is this what they are elected for, Mr. Reddy? Is this how we as a country can emerge strong? Mr. Malik, just a moment. Mr. Malik, just a moment.
One more. Mr. Malik, you've made your point.
Let Mr. Reddy come in.
For India ahead, let's talk sense. Right? Beyond these utterances, what are the solutions that we need to talk about? Yes, Mr. Reddy.
Mr. Reddy, please.
And what you are talking about, the policy decisions. Some decisions have been taken definitely after the 26/11, but they are not adequate. One has to see clearly. Because by all counts, the 26/11 is the deadliest terrorist attack on the Indian soil, mainly because it was meticulously planned and ruthlessly executed. One has to see what is the difference of 26/11 when compared to the terrorist attacks. Terrorist attacks are not new to Mumbai. There are also attacks in 1996 and also 2006, 1993. Then, in all those earlier attacks, the terrorists have stealthily, covertly placed some terrorist bombs or explosive devices and let off with a remote control or a timers. But 2611, it is like a urban warfare with terrorism. Here the 10 terrorists used all the sophisticated technology. They used satellite telephones. They used GPS to navigate for 4 days almost on the sea, and used the sophisticated weapons like AK-47, AK-56 and stun grenades and all kinds of technological advancements you can see in the terrorist attack. That's how 2611 is entirely different from the other attacks. And you are talking about, yeah, okay. And
right, so 2611 you are saying is completely different. Yes.
Yes.
So the nature of this, the entire attack, the way this entire attack was carried out at multiple locations in Mumbai, clearly, that is very different from what we have seen in the past. Swaranjit Sen, now what is it that makes 2611 the attack on India's financial capital, which left scores dead and over 300 injured? What makes this, one of the most defining moments in India's history and security preparedness?
I'm sorry, I cannot hear anything because of studio interference.
Yeah, Mr. Swaranjit Sen, can you hear me
too
now?
Much studio interference.
Mr. Sen, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah,
yes, I can.
Yeah, okay, Mr.
Yes,
Swaranjit Sen, the
ahead.
question to you was that why do you think, or what do you think needs to be the lessons or learnings from 2611? I think the question is, why is it such a defining moment, or what should I say, a dark chapter as far as the history of this country is concerned? That something like this in fact, something like this happened on our soil. What were the failings and what has been learnt?
Well, we've learned one thing, that we've not learnt enough after this incident. I'm sorry to say, the politicians are still very divided on all these matters, and instead of finding solutions, they just want to have political gain by talking about things which are not related to the incident. We are talking about 2611. Why can't they just talk about that and let us know what they intend to do? Now, I feel where we are greatly lacking is the intelligence update, and that is something we have to work on. I had suggested when I was DGP, and because of that the marine police stations have come in Andhra Pradesh, that we should have coastal home guards. We need boots on the ground where normal policing cannot reach to give us intelligence. And this won't cost us much in comparison to regular policing. So that is what I would like to suggest. And second thing is, we have to have early warning system of anyone trying to intrude into our borders. For that, you do have
right, and early, it's a very, very pertinent point.
It's very significant because he seems to talk exactly about the point that we were discussing at the beginning. Intelligence and boots on the ground. That's it has all come down. Our 1.5 hours of discussion on this issue has boiled down to intelligence gathering and its failure. And I want to go to Mr. Raman Malik. Mr. Malik, as a political representative of a party in power, I want to ask you, do you realize the concern over here is our lack of intelligence gathering, which has not significantly improved. So we are not fully secure. I would want to ask you a question on what have we done to fix our maritime security. The reality is that all modernization plans are running behind schedule. I mean, the long-term plan finishes at around 2032. Do you think we can wait that long? Is this a priority?
The priority of this government is national security and national upliftment, national agenda. This government does not work on personal agenda, it works on national niti. Rashtra niti pe kaam karti hai. One must understand that there has been a lot of changes in the Indian intelligence procedures and things